Hello and welcome back to An Old Man Watches, where today I'm going to be talking about the 2005 kids fantasy adventure film The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl, which hereafter I'm just going to refer to as Shark Boy and Lava Girl, because that is a long title to say every single time. And in this movie, we meet Max, a 10-year-old with a big imagination but no friends. Max is a geeky loner at school, teased by the other kids for keeping a dream journal and talking about his imaginary friends, Shark Boy and Lava Girl, as if they are real. Max is also having a tough time at home since its parents, in a frankly barely there subplot that gets resolved in about 5 seconds later in the movie, are having problems with their marriage. As Max endures yet another terrible day at school, a hurricane blows up, but this is no ordinary windstorm. Riding out of it come Shark Boy and Lava Girl. They have come to bring Max to their home planet Drool. Things have gone terribly wrong there. You see, the planet runs on Max's dreams, but lately all those dreams are turning into nightmares. The trio will have to traverse the planet Drool's bizarre geography in a kooky quest to find and thwart the evildoer who is ruining everything. So although Robert Rodriguez is best known for punchy, hard-hitting action films like From Dusk Till Dawn and Sin City, he also has a considerable sideline in kid-friendly comedy adventures, beginning and probably also peaking, in my opinion, with 2001's Spy Kids. Apparently many of the concepts and much of the story of Shark Boy and Lava Girl were conceived by Rodriguez's kids, particularly his then 7-year-old son Racer, which adds a touching real-world backstory to the production, but unfortunately, it didn't translate into a critically or commercially successful movie. The film suffered from negative reviews for its story and its 3D effects, and underperformed at the box office. Despite the initial poor reception, the film has gone on to attain something of a cult following, though that is apparently mostly on a so bad it's good kind of basis. For myself, while I like the core idea of what the movie is trying to do, when it comes to the actual execution, I have to side with the initial reviews. I don't think it really works that well. But let's talk in more detail about what the film has going on. So, Shark Boy and Lava Girl is one of the most aggressively three-dimensional films I've ever seen. Now, I personally watched the film in 2D because I don't like 3D and would prefer it went away and never came back. But even in the traditional format, this moment was included just for 3D purposes was recurrent and pretty obvious. In particular, the movie loves scenes and sequences that involves that most blatant of 3D effects, things flying directly out of the screen towards you. I'm not personally a fan of this trope in general, and repetition of it does not make me grow any more fond of it. Though I must confess they did manage to use the technique to startle one chuckle out of me in a particularly memorable case where a CGI brain flies toward the viewer, then actually hits the camera lens and slides down the screen. Now that scene isn't graphic or gory for the record, it's all done with a very cartoon world physics apply here kind of vibe, but that was the one time when I actually enjoyed it. If you do choose to see the film in 3D for some reason, be aware that one unfortunate side effect of the process is that in the three-dimensional version, the colours apparently look much more dull and washed out than they do in the 2D footage. Which, in a movie as cartoon-like as this one, is probably not a good thing. The bright, vibrant hues are definitely a part of the film's aesthetic. As blatant as the 3D is far from the only in-your-face aspect of the film. For example, there's the puntacular geography of Planet Drool. Rodriguez has always been fond of slipping in gags based on wordplay. The second best thing about Spy Kids 2 is spotting the visual puns represented by the various genetically engineered animals. But he's usually been content to just kind of let those gags be there for those who spot them. In this movie, no such subtlety is on display. Max and his superpowered allies take a ride on the train of thought, swim the stream of consciousness, and at one point find themselves in the graveyard of dreams. It's all very on the nose. And this rather overt and blatant style is also seen in the script, which tends to didactically spell out its themes and concepts. It's not enough for characters in the movie to learn lessons and accept them. The film feels the need to flat out state them in capital letters via the dialogue. If you remember those 80s cartoons where at the end He-Man and his friends would have a conversation about the important message of this episode. Yeah, it's like that, but throughout the movie, where people say, and I have just learned an important lesson, and that lesson is this, and are you paying attention? And yeah, I get that the movie is aimed at kids, and kids tend not to see beneath the surface. For instance, as a child, I never thought of Aslan as anything but a big talking lion. Never picked up on the allegory that he is, fantasy Jesus, despite the fact that he literally dies to absolve a human child's sins and is then reborn. But you can make a message explicit without making it clumsy. Frozen, for instance, isn't subtle about some of its themes, but it presents them in a charming and engaging way. This movie demonstrates none of that grace and instead comes across as quite lectury and a bit trite. Which is a shame, because I think that the themes Shark Boy and Lava Girl is trying to deliver are good ones. A core message of the film, for instance, is to dream a better dream and work to make it real. That is, to aspire towards goals that are unselfish and make the world better for others as well as yourself. Reach out to those with whom you disagree and see if you can find common ground. Embrace kindness and empathy, not fear and hostility. All very noble concepts. In the film, this concept of dream a better dream is, of course, literalised, because everything in this movie is literalised, in the conflict over planet Drool. This is an actual world of dreams, specifically Max's dreams, and the injunction to dream better is the literal cure for the ills that are plaguing it. Max must learn to share his dream with others, both in terms of no longer keeping them private in his dream journal, but also in terms of allowing others to share in shaping those dreams. And like I said, all of this is very laudable. It's just a shame that the script's rather clumsy and facile exposition of these themes doesn't end up being very convincing or emotionally engaging. Shark Boy and Lava Girl just doesn't quite work as a movie. Next time, Dario Argento's stylish, if sometimes slightly sleazy, 1982 thriller Tenebrae. But that's next time. Until then, thanks for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it.